The Christmas lights flickered like they were nervous. I was carving the turkey, sweat beading under my collar because the oven had been too hot, and the dining room smelled of pine, cinnamon, and something metallic I couldn't place yet. Everyone was laughing at something my brother-in-law said, something stupid about reindeer, and then Sarah stood up, wineglass trembling in her hand, and the room went still the way it does right before a car crash. "Mark," she said, voice thin but steady, "I have one more gift for you." She slid a red envelope across the white tablecloth. My name was written on the front in her perfect cursive. Our 12-year-old son, Ethan, looked up from his phone, curious. My mother paused with a forkful of mashed potatoes halfway to her mouth. I laughed because what else do you do? And tore it open. Inside was a single sheet from a lab. At the top, paternity test results. Below that, in merciless black and white, probability of paternity 0%. The carving knife slipped in my hand. Gravy spattered across the table, runner like blood. Sarah didn't sit down. She kept standing, chin high, the way she used to when she lied about being late from work. "I'm sorry you're finding out like this," she said, loud enough for the whole table, my parents, her sister, the kids, to hear. "But I'm done pretending. Ethan isn't yours, Mark. Biologically. And I've already talked to a lawyer. I'm filing in January. I'll be taking the house, half the savings, primary custody." The words blurred. I heard them the way you hear a foreign language you almost understand. My chest caved in slow motion like someone had parked a truck on it. Ethan's face went white. "Mom." His voice cracked on the single syllable. Sarah turned to him, eyes shining with tears that looked rehearsed. "Sweetie, nothing changes between us. You're still my boy. This is just honesty." Finally, I found my voice somewhere under the wreckage. "Honesty," came out hoarse. "You waited until Christmas dinner? With both families here? You thought this was the moment." She shrugged, a tiny movement like I was being dramatic. "I didn't want another year of lies." My mother made a sound I'd never heard from her before. Half sob, half animal. Dad reached for her hand. Sarah's sister stared at her plate as if the cranberries might save her. I looked at Ethan. My son, God, I'd carried him on my shoulders at Disneyland, taught him to ride a bike, held his hair back when he had the stomach flu in 2nd grade. His eyes were wide, terrified, pleading with me to say it wasn't true. I wanted to. I wanted to burn the paper, laugh it off, say Mom's drunk. But the numbers stared up at me, 0%. I stood so fast the chair fell backward. "Who?" The question scraped my throat raw. Sarah hesitated, just a flicker, and that hesitation was its own answer. "Does it matter?" she whispered. "It matters to me." My voice broke. "Tell me whose eyes I've been looking into for 12 years thinking they were part mine." She glanced at Ethan, then away. "It was a long time ago. Someone from work." "It doesn't. Say his name." "Mark." "Say it." "David," she breathed. "David Keller. From the Chicago trip. 2012. David Keller." I remembered the name. Remembered the way she came home glowing from that conference, how she'd kissed me like she was starving, how 9 months later Ethan arrived 2 weeks early with a shock of dark hair just like David's LinkedIn photo I'd once seen. The room spun. I gripped the table edge to stay upright. Ethan was crying now, silent tears sliding down his cheeks. "Dad," he whispered. I wanted to go to him. Wanted to pull him against me and promise the world wouldn't end. But my legs wouldn't move. Because if I touched him right then, I was terrified I'd feel the difference. Sarah picked up her purse. "I'll be at Jenna's tonight. We can talk tomorrow when everyone's calmer." Calmer. Like this was a disagreement over paint colors. She walked out. The front door shut with the soft click we'd chosen together because it wouldn't wake the baby. The baby who was never mine. I looked down at the ruined turkey, the red envelope bleeding into the gravy. Then I looked at Ethan, my son, no matter what some lab said, and opened my arms. He ran into them so hard my ribs ached. He buried his face in my shirt and sobbed like his heart had been ripped out. Maybe it had. Mine certainly was. I held him tighter than I ever had, feeling his small body shake against mine, and I made a promise against his hair. "I'm still your dad," I whispered. "That's never changing. Never." Behind us, the Christmas tree lights kept blinking, cheerful and cruel, while everything we'd built shattered quietly onto the dining room floor.